Addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes.
And I love it. And spiral is not one dot, it's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing.
Where else can you go other than inside? And when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love.
Okay. We should be honest. 27, Food of the Gods. Um, this one wasn't sassy or awesome or amazing. It was simple, and I get it. But I just want to start with that because Melissa and I were, I don't want to say not impressed. You know what it is? It's like the Gene Keys are so amazing. So when you have one that's like good, but not like jaw drop on the floor, and I cried and wept about all my trauma and memories. So we'll get into it. Maybe something will come from us diving in.
How? Maybe. Hold on. It needs to see. I want to. Well, I guess you're full of love.
Yeah.
And I'm empty today.
No.
Happy Easter, by the way. We're filming this on April 20th.
Yeah. Happy Easter.
Interesting. All over the world, people, well, I guess, I don't know what religions, but usually our Christmas doesn't match, but our Easter matches. Orthodox, non-Orthodox, I guess, which is so interesting. Anyway, in our country, it's considered the soul day, where the soul speaks.
Really?
Something related to it. It's like it's such a soulful day. And I was just talking to my mom this morning, and I'm not a religious, but I had a sense because my grandma's birthday is in 2 days, and here I don't really celebrate my traditional holidays at all. And I felt like going out there and lighting up the candle, which is the intentional light up of the candle for all the good health, prosperity, and all the good wishes that you have for people living and for people don't living, right? It's like a small tradition that we do, and I rarely do it unless I feel like called. But today I was like, I entered the church. It was packed, packed, like so many people just celebrating my people, like my speaking language. And I entered and I was like, wow, the intention behind lighting up the candle and placing it with a wish, which is like, this is what I wish for this person, that person, that person, that person, A to Z scanning. It's such a powerful thing to do. And, you're not really asking anything in return. You're just giving love in a good, wholehearted, and full soul, full way to through the candle and through intentional act. So it's really, really cool that we're doing this now. So
Mm.
we'll see what comes out of it. 27th Jinky.
That was cool.
Mm.
I would say what stood out to me on the first page here was the mathematics of the subatomic, like how everything's connected. All life forms and matter, both organic and inorganic, are essentially porous at the subatomic level. There's an entire mathematics of giving and receiving that unites all forms and is primarily based upon food. I just I love the reminders of how things are because we forget because it's we base everything based on our senses and what we see, touch, and feel, and it feels like things are solid and it's separate. and the rock is dead.
Mm.
And the truth is a lot more fluid. Things are shifting and exchanging information and communicating. So that was a
You mean in today's world
yeah.
versus
I think it comes back to like culture, education, like what are you brought up to believe?
mm,
And here in Hawaii is one of the only places where they have a natural teaching about everything has consciousness,
mm,
even the inorganic stuff. And it's cool. It's like, that I think that carries over into how you show up in the world because you're being supported by everything. When things are porous like that and connected, you're constantly being supported by the cycles of life and death and that mathematical equation and food, and we are the top of the food chain. So like the fact that we can live to 78 on average is because we're being supported by all kinds of manifestations of this universe. And so it kind of just the knowledge of that for me gives me an experience of or a taste of gratitude for this life.
mm, mm. So good. And here we are, we're trying to be vegan and not eat animals.
I don't bother anymore.
We're so stuck on it, right?
Sorry.
We're so stuck on it. Don't eat it. Here he is saying it's like all living creatures have to eat each other because they're going to decay anyway. And we
Yeah.
have, in order for humanity to exist, everything eats everything,
Yeah.
which is that mathematics that you're talking about, mathematics of love and selfishness. It's like when you're young, you're not selfish. When you become an old, you become selfish. But as an old too, you're going to be eaten by the next generation of youngs anyway. So that natural cycle of decay and living, of the death and birth, almost sustained our humanity. And because of that, we're still alive.
Hmm.
Wow. So I had my yoga teacher. My yoga teacher was like really teaching Zen. And yet he would get so irked when people would be super vegan and not eat animals, but yet eat plants. And he's like, same thing, has the same consciousness. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? And he would get so wrapped up around it, exit the Zen just to say the point, and would just be so, like warm around, not even warm, fired up about it. But it's so true. It reminded me on him. And I laughed because we really try we try to do the right things.
Yeah.
And in such an effort of trying to do the right, we do so many wrongs
Well, yeah. What do you mean by that?
unconsciously. Same way, like, love can hurt sometimes.
It's like almost a it's a way to say I've done my part or I'm doing my part, and then you kind of put the blinders on to all the other things,
Yeah.
all the other life forms that you're killing or mauling or
Yeah. In general, I truly, I don't know, your Pisces, maybe you and I had the same exact feeling that deep down in every single one of us, there's a good part of side of us, right? There's like the kind soul. And you know, that stems from love somewhere, either giving or receiving or missing it. And to think that anybody can put so much effort to do the bad for people, which obviously we know people do. But, you know, it's like we really do the best we know at that moment. And how do we get mad in general on someone who believes deeply that it's doing the best to save themselves, right? So why would you become vegan and go against, eat animals if you really care about animals. So you really are such a person who deeply believes it's doing the right thing for animals. But yet, when we get into such an extreme of one belief, we almost never see the complete opposite from what we believe true is, which is that extremism, right? It comes so far-sighted that you can't see the opposite side. And the opposite side in this case will be, but you're eating plants in order to survive. It's the same exact consciousness.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a truck around town here that has a bumper sticker, and it says something like, "I'm vegan because I care about animals." To the effect, it's worded in a way to be like punchy, and
Mm,
I read it and I just laugh because I'm like, "What about the plants?" But
mm,
we don't see the suffering of plants. Most of us don't.
yeah.
Um,
So now the question is the suffering that we're trying to avoid?
yeah, are we prevent? Is it to be vegan? Are we trying to prevent suffering of animals and give them a
Mm,
happy life?
So are we afraid of suffering in general?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to be. It would have to be like this is a negative thing, therefore I will refrain from eating. I'll eat a certain way so that this group of conscious beings don't have to quote unquote suffer. And I am because of this action, I am saving, these beings from a level of suffering which is negative or bad.
What about the ants and the bugs?
I always think about the bugs.
Right. So we really can't be so perfect. I think we're so hard on ourselves, right? So sometimes it's like, like because we're really trying, the point I'm trying to make here is that we are afraid of suffering and we're trying to
Yeah,
make ourselves feel better because we're saved or we did good or we'll live longer or we'll have another chance to come back in life or our soul is going to continue the journey. And all of it we don't really know. And I think it all comes down from the fear of death and fear of no longer existing or fear of dying out or disappearing
right.
of the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say, sing.
I, it's like, so for me not to be, right now I'm not vegan or vegetarian. So it's like I'm going into the consciousness of people that are trying to do good and I'm trying to empathize. And in my past, like I've done this a number of times and there's an element of like you equate it to murder. Like, okay, well, I shouldn't just go kill someone if I could, if by killing someone it would move me up the ladder, like whatever. Um, then I should just do it. And that's kind of like the straw man hypothesis. But it negates the consciousness. Hello.
He's listening.
Yeah.
What?
Like
What?
what?
What are you saying?
Um,
And he's mad at me. Usually he just turns around. But anyway,
yeah, I
yeah.
feel like having this quantum awareness, I don't know. It's funny how the community of I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. The
Mm,
community of like more spiritually minded people tend to I think I don't know if there's statistics on it, but I tend to believe that there's a high representation of vegan and vegetarians in more spiritually minded people. It's almost like
mm,
there is this idea that consciousness is passed down in food. So if an animal dies in a tragic way or in a state of like extreme pain or fear, then it
mm.
gets passed into the meat, and then you're consuming that level of consciousness,
Yeah.
and that can have impacts on your body. But
I heard that too. And personally, when I go and I place myself in these states where so-called the portal is open, you can receive a different messages, or you become more clear about understanding your setup, right? So who talks, who doesn't, you hear clearly crystallized words. So it's almost like your awareness becomes more heightened when your body is clear and it's not trying to do so much work to
Yeah.
digest some flesh or synthetics, right? So it's like, yes, you feel lighter and you can think straight. So it almost helps your brain chemistry to think clear, faster, quicker, and more efficient. So it almost like the body now has so much more energy to use for the functions that it needs for the sake of awareness and the consciousness and rationality, right? But I've not gone into states where if I fast or I eat vegan, and I was vegan for 5 years, or like eat only broccoli and I stop eating at 5, that I created anything different versus when I eat a burger and then I put myself in front of the drawing and I draw exactly the same thing. So I don't
Mm.
know. I think it depends on, it really depends on your whole body system and chemistry that you have in it. I'm still fascinated by that thing, is that this temple holds now so much synthetic stuff
Yeah.
that our digestion is different. Like, I don't know if you remember in one of the gene keys in the beginning, Richard mentioned, and I can't remember which one was it, that eventually our body's not going to need salt anymore. We'll become see-through,
Yeah.
right? And now he's talking about eventually we'll stop eating.
Hmm.
I was like, wow. And what is now shadow will become, the what is now shadow used to be the city back in evolution time. So what the city is now that we're trying to reach will eventually probably become a shadow for our next leap of faith. So it's interesting how we just narrate these things in order to understand them. We
Yeah.
always try to find the meaning in everything.
Yeah, we are in a search for meaning,
Did you find it?
desire for meaning. Um, I would say I found a taste of meaning, like a piece of meaning in different stages of my life. I don't think I've found meaning itself. I find
Mm,
it when I'm present. It shows up in different ways.
mm, good answer. Yeah. Mm. I don't have anything to say. It's so good. True.
Okay. Did you make highlights or are you highlight free this one?
Oh, so little compared to others.
Yeah.
So little. And it's interesting because altruism is one of the words that I love using. And also because my astrologer read me many times my natal chart, speaking of altruistic mindsets and altruism that lives in me naturally, that I don't even want to identify with it. And I found it interesting because it's like, how do you even identify with the altruism in self, right? How do you, how much of a love you can give unconditionally until it becomes conditional? How
Right.
much of a care or nurturing you can give to another until it actually becomes conditional? And like, the part that I highlighted throughout this time was just parent-child dynamic, and I thought I'll poke your head on it because you are a parent and you have children in the stage where that unconditionality and complete devotion and absolute altruism comes in play. So you get to taste it very differently from someone who is not experienced as a parent. So, like, I think I can speak more on altruism than, or listen more than speak on selfishness.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and when I was reading this, I'm like, how do you identify like talking points around being selfish or altruistic and selfless? And then when he talked about parenting, I'm like, whoa, there's lots to talk about there. Um,
Let's go.
yeah, where do we start? Did you have any questions that came up or any?
Maybe you can describe what this altruism and parenting feels like. How do you feel it? How does it show up? And Does it ever pull you back into reactive and repressive states of shadow?
Um,
Loaded question.
Hilarious because yeah, it's a little bit loaded because you what I find is with my kids is they are here to first get me to react. Like that's what it feels like is they were genetically coded to know exactly what to say it, how to behave so that I have a reaction.
Mm,
And ultimately, the reaction doesn't have to be externalized. And this is kind of the nuance between you're actually reacting versus you're choosing a response.
mm.
But initially, you have a very strong reaction, like this little shit doing this again. Or I did everything right today. I followed by the book exactly how I'm supposed to parent a 3-year-old, and he's still giving me shit. And then, there's an opportunity there for expressing my emotions or zooming out and looking at it from a different light. And I'm going through a bit of a parenting download, I should say. There's a teacher, her name is Dr. Becky Kennedy. I listened to a podcast, and she had so many good insights about parenting that I've never really heard in that perspective before. And some of the big ones that stuck with me are this metaphor of the pilot. So as a parent, you are like the pilot with a passenger full of planes, and your response is like the pilot getting on the comm, and either are you going to calm down the passengers? Are you going to reassure them? Are you going to panic with them? Or are you going to try to manipulate them? Um, so if there's like turbulence and things are bumpy and everyone's getting like really, really nervous, and the pilot gets on and they say, "Listen, guys, because you're so nervous, you're making me nervous, and I can't fly this plane when you're so nervous. I need you to calm down." And then he gets off. And he's like, "If you don't calm down, things are gonna not end up well." And then he gets off. And then everyone looks at each other and they're like, "Does this guy know what he's doing?" Um, and that's a bit of an analogy. Like often in
Is the
parenting, we try to use our own state and our own emotions as leverage to get our kids to understand how we're feeling in the situation. And there's really only one job that we have as parents, especially in the young kid age, which is safety. So ultimately, everything comes back to my job is to make you safe. And then in that safety, there's also the emotional safety, which means I'm going to be sturdy, I'm going to be stable, and you get to express, you get to react, you get to throw a temper tantrum, you get to fight me, you get to say you hate me, you get to do all this. I'm just going to be sturdy so that you can. And this is the experience, this is what you're here to do as a child, is experience the emotional states, experience the range of what life has to offer. And when you look at it that way, I'm sure most people could imagine that very, very few children get that experience. It is rare. Most parents are reacting, or they're imposing their own emotions, or they're putting their emotions above their children's. Um, and as with parenting too, there's like this cycle that I go through of like, um, I'm doing shitty. Okay, I'm gonna learn how to be a better parent. Okay, now I'm doing well. And then in thinking I'm doing well, I make a mistake and then I feel like I'm doing shitty again. It comes back around. But what feels different about this is it's more like principle based. The situations can change. Um, how how things develop can change. It's not so much like the nuance, it's just I'm going to be sturdy. And today I was tested front to back, side to side, upside down. And I just had so many opportunities to say, like, okay, it's not, and the temptation for me is to say, well, my emotions matter too. And it's like, okay, well, that was my, that was my trauma. I was emotionally invalidated or neglected. And so I have this deep need to like then show my emotions so that I can get validation from the environment. Like, look, dad is angry. He's not happy with how things are going or how messy the house is or the way you talk to me. And it's been a total mindfuck now to look at it and say, hey, Eric, like it's your emotions are valid, but they're not for your kids to experience.
Hmm.
That's gonna make everything worse. They're not gonna know what to do with it. It's gonna be too much. And then I just, okay, how do I be sturdy here?
Hmm.
And what I'm finding, it'd be interesting to talk to another parent with like similar age kids, but what I'm finding is my 5-year-old is like almost like releasing the pressure valve. He's just unwinding it. As the more sturdy I am, he's like, okay, I'm gonna allow out more pressure. And so what it looks like is the fits are bigger, the emotions are stronger. It looks like the response is um not appropriate or not um almost not even relevant to what was happening. And it's just so big for something so small. And I think what it is he's actually feeling the sturdiness and he's got like these suppressed feelings, emotions, and he's finding how stable can I be because he
Let's go
with
for it.
with highly sensitive kids, they tie in shame with their emotions because they feel like it's too much. They feel like it's too big and that they can't be digestible to the people in their life. So with that sturdiness, he's testing to see because it's going to be safer for him to get me to that point when he goes, "Oh, right, like dad hasn't changed. He was just feeling good that day. I'm going to go back to suppressing because he's trying to come up with a safe game plan to participate in the world and to show up. How can I show up that's safe for me?" And that's just what he's doing because he doesn't know how to do that. But by me providing that container of safety and that stability, he's going to test the limits initially, and I'm hoping we get to some stability. But either way, I'm along for the ride because um, I know this trauma in myself and what I would want for myself as a parent, and the only thing I can do is control the controllables, which right now is how am I going to parent? Like I can't change my past, but I can certainly change the future for my kids. And I can certainly be more present for my kids, which is hard because in the moment when my emotions feel like again they're neglected, I'm having to quickly do some kind of technique to like lock in my focus, provide the stability for them, and then have the emotional intelligence moving forward or after that to not neglect my own state and to have some kind of outlet or experience that where then feel validated.
Mm.
So there we go. We got something to talk about.
So what I'm hearing you, if I may,
Yeah.
what I'm hearing you say is that seeing your child going through a state that is similar to your inner child state. So you have to pull a full on, almost like I come second, my child comes first. I have to take care of him because I know where this got me in the past, right? But
Mhm.
it's interesting because this is what he's speaking of in the gift as well. It's at some point you have, as a parent to child, you have this genetic coding deep down in the genes, in the DNA, where you automatically do this without even thinking. It's like you want to offer your child the best of, ba- almost like how I understood, like you want to give them and you can't help it. It almost like it's automatic. But with emotional maturity, almost emotional awareness, what you're saying is that I still know I have the part of me that taps into the shadow,
Mm.
reacts, it's self centered, and it has a massive need to be taken care of. Now it's up to me because I'm rational, I'm adult, I'm mature enough to understand I have to find the outlet someplace else to figure this part out. Otherwise, it's just going to keep like coming up again and again. And it almost like it sounds like it's a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
So, question for you. So, as your child becomes safe to, well, first, I actually want to ask, why did that make you tear up and cry?
Oh, well,
Something related to the shame and suppression.
yeah, and I don't know if you relate to, do you feel like you're highly sensitive? I would say you are, but I'm curious what you think.
Depends. I guess it toughened my skin through the wars and stuff. Used to be.
Hmm. Well, with being highly sensitive myself, um, it's a bit like seeing a version of yourself that was maybe lost. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, um, for me, it feels like a reconnection on an emotional level to just have the acknowledgement that with highly sensitive kids or people, it's deeply, deeply tied in with shame. And for me, shame is a strong emotion. It's one that I carry with me for most of my life. I'm still unpacking it. And that shame is just rooted in this belief that you're too much or that you can't ever be fully you. And this was also Carly. So it's like Carly and I have different experiences of what that means, being highly sensitive. And then, of course, when we have children, it's like, it becomes manifest
Mm.
in them, especially when it's unhealed. So the thought of giving back that level of safety where they can then establish trust with us, um, it's almost like I wish I knew this 4 years ago or 5 years.
Mm.
And of course, I wish I knew this 34 years ago.
34 already. Wow. What about this? Do you feel that there are some wounds in us that we can't heal for ourselves, but yet are meant to be a medicine for others?
Yeah, this feels like one of them. I don't know if I believe it, but maybe I should slow down. Do I feel like this? Do we feel like we have some wounds that we can't fix or heal for ourselves, but that we can provide it? Yeah, that almost feels like the basis of altruism itself, right? It's like that's the soil that empathy is grown in, is the
So good. And it almost like you, when, and I don't know, I think I also realized this like a couple of days ago. It's like there's something that hurts me so deeply. And then again and again and again, it repeats over and over in life, so much so that it has nothing to do with anybody else other than with me and my need for something. And that need stems from whatever. It can be a childhood, it can be even deeper than the childhood. But no matter what I do, it's still there. No matter how much I process it, no matter how much I integrate it, there's still there. And at that point, at what point do we actually really learn acceptance that it will always be there and yet find the strength and power in it that has nothing to do anymore with us rather than with others? You know how we say like people bond on the trauma level, like trauma bond, or people
Mhm.
connect on the pain body, right? So it's we almost nowadays everybody just wants to have this like being seen in the pain rather than like total opposite of like healthy, successful, joyful happiness. It's like it's hard to connect with people that are happy, right? So you almost desire deeply your pain to be validated in one or the other way. And yes, it doesn't show up all the time, but when it does, there's this deep yearning for it. There's this deep, I need to feel connected. I need to feel that I'm not alone in this, right? So it's like we almost like this pain just stays. And you and I touched many times on it. Like sometimes it can come as total acceptance and forgiveness for yourself and others. Sometimes comes out as total loneliness. Sometimes comes out as just complete emptiness, freeze. It can manifest itself in so many different ways, but as if it's meant to stay with us in order to really elevate us to a point where we gift something births out of it, and that is the gift or medicine for other people to heal.
Mm.
I don't know. It
Yeah.
sounds like that.
What does anything come up for you? I mean, this is your work, so I don't want to open a floodgate if it doesn't feel appropriate. But what you could just touch on what is the wound for you that connects you?
Hmm. So this morning, I wake up every morning and I sketch. Recently, I started doing this, and this morning I ended up, sitting at the lanai and sketching, and I sketch on a morning sun. And this morning I just cried, and I had no idea why I cried. My tears just started dripping, and I was like, oh my God, my eyes, my body is reacting to something. I'm not conscious about it. I'm just crying. And I was like, and I'm not crying because I am joyful. I am in a very deep sadness, and my body is totally I'm not aware of what is happening. I have no thoughts that are coming in to bombard me. I have no menu, but something deeply just comes out. And so I sketched, and then I sketched a memory. And in this memory, I somehow started writing. It's not even the poetry, but I just wrote the words and wrote the words from the past and words from the future, from the loss and the gifts in life, right? So it's almost like somehow something just ended up coming and the words vocabulary formed itself to an expression. And I sobbed and sobbed. Like, have you ever had a moment when your tears are just drip like rivers and you're not even, but your eyes are not bothered? It's not like I have something in my eye. It's like total crying rivers. And I couldn't stop, and it took me hours. So I ended up going to the church and lighting out the candle. That was the whole point. And I just found meaning, so much more meaning in the sadness, melancholy of something that I was processing that I wasn't even aware. And then it dawned on me what it was. And I think it was the abandonment. So I feel that when you when you have so much love to give and that love is not received the way you want to give it, it feels the love does not reach its potential.
Mm.
And it feels you almost like have the layer of it's not, self sabotage. It's not good enough. It's too much. It's too little. It's like you don't have anywhere else to turn against or towards rather than yourself. And it can go either way, right? So you can sabotage yourself. You can go against yourself. You can even pause, freeze. It's a shock. It's almost like a shock. But when love doesn't have anywhere else to go, or when you believe deeply, it has a place to go, and it can expand to massive sizes, but yet it's received in a small size to the capacity of the receiver. It hurts. And there's some sort of hurt that comes from it. And I think not being wanted as a child, a lot of it times comes, you know, how I feel. So I learned as a child how to compensate for the love I was missing from my parents and my family, to giving so much love because I needed it, right? So it's almost like you give what you need, and you almost like seek it. But that wound that I was telling you about, you need it so much, but you have nowhere to go than to give it, to give what it is that you're looking for in order for possibility and hope for it to be received back. So you're almost like crying for reciprocation of it. And I have learned throughout my life here to give so much love and give so much that there is a part of me that not expects it, hopes and expects it too, that the love can be reciprocated, but you can't do that. So my lesson is very much I can't ask someone to love me the same way, right? So it's almost like it feels I have to abandon it, right? So it's like this part of me always feels unreceived. When it's almost like who will say no to love that it's
Mm.
big, like, but people say no to
Yeah.
love. And especially if you don't know how to receive, if I don't know how to receive your love to me is
Yeah.
gonna turn into a suffocation for me.
Hmm.
So, and this is where it's like, how do you match? It's almost like, you know, you're living a life when your heart is so big that can accept, but also you set the boundaries, almost like what it is that you want and how far you can go. It shows your potential to love at the same time. And the bigger the potential, the more lonely you become
Mm.
in it. So I think I just cried this
Mm.
morning and today, the whole day, my tears are just like present for it.
Mm.
And it has nothing to do with 27. Maybe because that's why I couldn't even connect to it. It's like, this is totally not selfish. It becomes selfish when I have to defend it and when I
Mm.
have to protect it. But why would I protect something of such vastness unnecessarily? It's like that's where that maturity and comes in its place. But this is my potential. It might even be my power, though it's my wound and it hurts me. It might really help someone. So why would I stop?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you absolutely will help others. And so to tie that to like who, like for instance, if what connects me is like this wound of feeling like I'm too much and there's shame around my emotions, my expression, which is, you know, two different ways to look at a very similar kind of thing. It's like for you, your love feels too big and you have to find ways to contain it lest you be cast out by everybody, right? Abandoned
Mhm.
by the world because you don't have a place here with that much love. You need to get on with the system, go to school, figure this out.
Mm.
Um, but in a way, it's very close to kind of my experience and what I see with my kids. So for me, the feeling of being too much, and finding expression for your emotions and then kind of healing the shame piece of it. And for you, having so much love to give where it puts you in a place of abandonment or neglect because there's there's not an equal capacity to receive it. So it's almost you're showing up in a way, I'm just guessing, but you can help me out. But you're showing up in a way for others where you have so much love to give, where you've given yourself a tremendous amount of space to just be that, no matter who can receive it or can't. You've just accepted, I'm going to do it anyway. even if it's just for myself. And you said, like you said, this is a lonely experience, but a lonely experience doesn't necessarily mean that you feel like it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a longing that comes out of it where you need something else to fulfill because you're stepping in with a sense of I'm going to do it anyway because it can help the world. So what you're kind of emulating to the world or to whoever is experiencing you is a level of love that most people turn off because they've been told to, or it wasn't acceptable, or in a world where they experience pain, suffering, etc., it doesn't seem like a reasonable response.
Mm.
So, I mean, that's just my interpretation is you're showing up and saying, here I am, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to fully be that and get, and in just doing that, you're giving space and permission for others to then step in a little bit deeper.
Hmm. Hmm. But it doesn't mean you don't suffer in silence in a backstage. I call my mom just to light up a little bit the stage. I call my mom, and this woman has went through hell and back 7 times. Like a cat has like 19 lives, right? And I would tell her, and this is how I talked to her, and I said, I am so sad today. My heart hurts so much. Do you want to have a coffee? And she would crack laughing. To her, she's Taurus, right? To
Yeah.
her, it's like, you don't admit, you don't speak like that. Of course, stand up and go. Like, you're so strong. It's like the picture that she has of me is this warrior woman, right? Because she's a warrior and can't, there's no other information, right? You can't soften up to life. You just have to go and groove through it.
Hmm.
And I would just like casually tell her. And when she was here, we would eat. I would like made like charcuterie, and she calls it a chaos dinner because I would just dump everything in it. She's like, let's have a chaos dinner. And we would sit across the table, right? And it was a Christmas time in December. And I just exhale and cited this deep, deep sadness out of my heart. And I was like, oh my God, I am so sad. And I looked at her and she was just like, what? And she started laughing out loud. And she could not believe that I said that so casually. And I'm like, wait a minute, we have to normalize these states. Why is it bad to feel it? I am not ashamed of it, nor I want to stop feeling sad. When the feeling comes in, I want to feel it. And here's another thing I want to give you, just a different perspective, that I realized the other day too. Sitting in it, it's like the more we long for something, okay, it can be love, it can be reciprocation, it can be the freedom to express, it can be just like simple desire for life, the will for life. We're longing, we're wanting, we're wanting, we're wanting. And we're kind of like really having this feeling of like, I want to get to that point, like as if an action has to take a place. But if you sit still in just this longing, you're already fulfilled with the sense of it.
Hmm.
Am I making sense? It's like if
Yeah.
I'm so sad that I didn't receive something, or I am so in love that I have for someone else, it's like you don't really have to action about it. You don't have to do anything about it rather than just sit in it. And just the fact that you're feeling something is fulfillment.
Hmm.
Like, holy shit, we get to feel plethora of emotions every day, many times a day. And what gets us in trouble is our reaction to it. So
Hmm.
speaking of you as a parent, it's like you're practicing this almost on a daily basis, 3 times, if not 33 times a day, right? It's like you almost like have to catch yourself for reacting. But in this way, you're almost like, ooh, I have a feeling currently that it's storming through my body. Let me fulfill myself with this. This is not going to be the same next time. It's going to be very different. But the act of being fulfilled for it is the life itself. It almost feels like it brings you back into your body and you're not doing anything. So that perspective was eye opening to me. Like I can sit in a heartbreak and aim and crave and crave and crave and crave and get lost out there, rather than, wow, I'm sitting in the total heartbreak, craving. How does that feel? Just the sense of this is what I feel right now in my body. And I don't have to do anything about it.
Mm.
There's something about it, something related with the sitting with exact emotions that are overwhelming for you, and see how long you can sit. Because it's like, it's the emptiness inside that it's asking us to do something to fulfill it. Like, I have to do something, I have to react, I have to fulfill this void of me that is growing, rather than, but just having it, it's fulfilling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
It's almost like if it's a void inside us, the desire to distract or create or um, run away from it is like trying to define its edges. Whereas you're saying just being in it, you lose the sense of edges and the experience becomes self-fulfilling because when there's a void with edges, you want to put something in it. When
Yeah,
it doesn't have edges, there's not, it consumes everything. So you're just a
you're already
participant.
fulfilled.
Hmm.
You're almost like you're already fulfilled. It's just that awareness of like, I, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
this might trip people up if they've never, because this is a recent experience of mine. So I resonate. I understand where you're going. But if you could practically work that out for someone, like, hey, like, okay, you have a heartbreak, someone broke your heart. Typically, you're gonna like grab a movie, pick up a gallon of ice cream, get a bottle of wine. Is it as simple as just sitting in it, or is there a mental like, because there's probably traps in just thinking too, right? You can think yourself busy, you can distract with just your thoughts alone.
Mm. I think it comes with, I don't know, practice, awareness, having that many breakups. So go ahead and have your heart broken many times. You'll learn eventually. So go try it.
Do it
No
until
one
it
wants
works.
that. You wouldn't want to be with someone who's like, hey, by the way, my heart's gonna get broken. It's just a matter of time. A year or two, approx. Like 2 year relationships are now long-term relationships. So go figure it out. Anyway, speaking, it's like what breaks our heart is really that unfulfilled need, and the unfulfilled needs come, from somewhere, and the brain is going to do, and mind and thoughts are going to do everything to protect you against it, but also to self-destruct, to destroy you as well with it, because that's just what's going to happen. So how I do it and how I'm practicing on doing it, and it's not like I figured it out. I just go like, I remember your short. I think I made a short of it. It's like, you feel like shit, then feel like shit. And you feel like shit for feeling like shit, then feel that too.
Hmm. Yeah.
Exact same thing. It's like there's no better way to say it than how you described it. I would just sit with it. And while I draw and sketch and my eyes are crying the rivers and the feeling is happening, I'm actually just aware of what is going on in my body and how many parts of me want to express itself without me even kind of connecting the dots. Like sometimes it doesn't even need to make sense for what is happening, right? I don't have to control the outcome of it. I my job is to surrender to whatever is coming my way, because there is the lesson behind it. There's also a healing behind it the moment we surrender. And for someone who is alpha like me, like super alpha, wanting to go get, grow, do it, it's a hard thing to do, but it's possible.
Hmm.
And like catching yourself in it, it's hard. Like, it's not like I'm sitting there having 10 hours a day to catch myself in my own web of design mindset,
Hmm.
but I sit and I just cry, and I cry as much as I can, and then moving on, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, feeling like shit and then move on.
Mm. Good.
You know, Marina Abramovich, again, I'm gonna bring her up. Keep forgetting to send you this clip. And she goes, you know, all my teachers, artists, Well, every morning you're going to wake up and you're going to cry when you have a heartbreak and when you're sad. And you're going to cry every morning. And then one day you won't. It's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one day you're not going to cry. So accept
Hmm.
it. That's the process and it will end. And I was
Hmm.
like, brilliant. So stupidly simple and very hard to do. Easy
Yeah.
things are really hard to do.
Why is this wisdom suppressed? Or maybe it's just not highlighted in in the goings of society. What would you say?
Why are the it's because we like to complicate things. We like the feeling of complexity and multi-layeredness and like speaking of me, I am a queen of complicating things in life. And astrologically, my North Node is Taurus in 12th. I need to simplify every single thing in life. And this is something that I might not even learn in this lifetime to ground myself back and actually really eat an apple, enjoy the juice, and that's it. But I'm going
Mm.
to sit here, eat an apple, and understand, okay, I am feeling this taste. This is what my body is explaining. Like I'm going to analyze every single thing naturally
Yeah,
rather than just,
trace the seeds in it, see if they
yeah,
match up.
yeah, it's like sterilize, feel the rays of the sun on my skin, my color change. It's like I'm going to analyze every single thing naturally. It's complex. We are complex human beings. But I'll give you one story. And it's not a myth. We have in my culture we have small little wisdom thoughts, and they're almost like sarcastic and ironic, but the point, and you receive them when the truth hits you real hard in life.
Hmm.
So, and the way we speak of them is always like there's a lesson behind it, and old elderly wise elderly people will usually give such advices to children or grandchildren, and they will always speak through that to this day. And one that my mom said yesterday was like, you can bend a branch of a tree while it's green.
Hmm.
When it's adult already and mature, you can't bend it, you will break it.
Mm.
Meaning, the tree is bendable while it's green. Your children are there to learn. But the moment you become so set in your beliefs, if I'm trying to bend you, you other person, and really make you take my love, I'm going to break you
Mm.
because you're so aged, right? So you're so strong, you're no bendable anymore. Especially if I grab you and I try to bend you, I will break you. Why would I do that? And to me, it's like, holy shit, I can't force anybody to take the love and what I have to give. No, no, no.
Mm.
So good.
Uh, Yeah.
Mm, what came up?
Well, in Hawaii here, things grow so fast that when branches break or trees are cut down, they just sprout right up again,
Yeah.
sometimes stronger. And sometimes arborists will use intentional breaks or cuts to grow the tree in a healthier way. Just saying.
Oh, oh, ouch. You see?
Yeah.
You see, everything that proved right can be proved wrong. This is why
Yeah.
we are complex human beings. It's not
Right.
just apple eating on the sun and enjoying the juices of it. We can't help it.
Hmm.
Okay, question for you. So, there's a there's a thing here that he speaks about community, and I know the community is really big for you. And I want you to touch base on it. And it speaks in the shadow section. Even though it may ensure individual survival, in order for our species to take the next evolutionary leap, survival must become an absolutely communal. True to you or not?
Truth has many layers. What do you?
You moved to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Why?
And yeah, okay. Initially, I had this dream for a community,
I remember.
like a co-living, shared resources. Yeah, that was the dream.
So what happened? Why did that matter to you
Feels
more?
different now. At the time, it felt like that would be an evolution of lifestyle. It felt like a very far departure from this like cookie cutter homes, grid road structure of Michigan that I was experiencing. I just wanted to like really shift and see what we could do as a group. And yeah, I felt like a lot of growth would have come from it.
You speak of it as if you didn't realize. Did it realize? Did you find your
No, I
community?
didn't realize. And
So
there,
is it?
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Finish. I'm curious.
There's a number of communities that are here. My cousin actually lives in like a pseudo community back in Michigan. She talks about it. Um,
Pseudo.
yeah, like they do shared meals like once a week, and then their kids can go. It's almost like a neighborhood. Their kids can go play, but it wasn't to the level of what I imagined. But that they do have that here, but it doesn't usually work well with kids because there's like boundaries that should exist. And when you have like free loving beings, they typically are pushing away all boundaries. And then there's a weird, like, where do we draw a line for certain things that, you know, like minds are young and supple and they can handle a lot, but also, there's certainly too much experience that a young mind can have that would be, I think of like seeing everyone in the tribe like drunk or on a drug or like having an
Hmm.
like if we're going there like having an orgy. This wasn't my dream, by the way, but that would be like probably very traumatizing because it's just too much. What do you do with all of that experience and where do you put it? So there's plenty of experimenting around the world, but I wasn't after growing a little bit with the kids, I was realizing that there wasn't the intentioned space, at least here on the island, that was more dedicated to the kids, which means, and this is part of the altruism of being a parent, is you do put yourself second. And so if you don't have people that understand that, then you're going to have issues when it comes to the kids and that sort of thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, we already have problems. So you put it in a community where you can't hide your problems, and then it's like, it's a lot of work. I think it's a lot of work. And I don't necessarily want more work when I have three kids at home and trying to figure out a bunch of stuff with that. But
So what you're saying is that having a community, to me, community is like village. I
hmm
only the only example for me what community is the village that I grew up on back home. And
hmm
this is the farming. This is three, four, five generations living in the same households together of the joint homes, joint one gate, 17 homes. Everybody has the life, but they also share the cows and the pigs and, like the chickens and the food, and they help each other on a farm plant. They're almost like working at each other's land to plant the food and vegetables to live. That to me is community. I don't know of any other example other than just what I hear and what I learned through documentaries.
yeah, I mean, the Amish seem to do it really well, but there's a strong religious structure there. There's a lot of rules about dress and behavior
Mm.
um, and you see like, the teenage runaways who are like they swear it out. They're like, I'm never doing that again because it's just too
Mm.
oppressive. And I think that's a normal experience that kids will go through. But for your village, was there I would imagine there's a strong set of principles and rules and some level of like religious.
No, it's just a traditional. But I think the culture I come from, we were like 5 centuries in the Turks, so we
Yeah.
had to hold each other, right? So to sustain that level of suppression in general for 5 centuries, you're talking 5 generations. It's like my blood is probably Turkish blood, but to sustain, we don't mix. We didn't mix for a long time after Yugoslavia fell apart. We didn't mix, meaning we didn't have any other nationalities into the Serbia.
Hmm.
Our blood was just purely what it was for a very long time, all the way up to recently, actually, when the borders were open and we fled the country.
Hmm.
But it was interesting because traditionally we went through wars. We were it's like Europe, First World War, Second World War, and in the events of crisis, families hold together to survive, right? So
Yeah.
in this case, it's like in a Western cultures and other cultures, it's like we live in such a modern world where life takes you globally now. Like your kids might end up, you know, Blue Origin to Mars and be like, Dad, can we talk? I'm in Mars. Can you stop by the Earth? It's gonna be that easy and that simple, real fast for you to just go on a weekend back home in Hawaii on Earth from Mars. But we're talking really jointly surviving and doing everything in their power to have food, basic needs, food,
Hmm.
water, shelter. And if you didn't have it, it's okay because we're related. Of course, come on over. Of course, come on over. And we still to this day had it. And my grandparents actually had it. And all the inheritance that they carried over from their grandparents literally is like the same exact tradition carried over down to generations. It's like it doesn't change. But that to me is almost altruistically in itself because it's based on the survival, solely
Yeah.
based on the survival. But what he's trying to explain here, because we are spread out all over the world, we learn how to be single, almost running the life and trying to figure it out. You left from Michigan. From Michigan, you went to Hawaii. You're almost like separated from your tribe. You separated yourself from your family and you and Carly both to figure it out on your own and find another tribe. And another tribe is not working because they also have their own problems. So what he's trying to explain here is that we won't have anywhere else to go than to come towards each other to create this community because there's a need.
Hmm.
And that itself will take us into the next leap of evolution. So
Yeah.
that to me was very interesting.
Yeah, that is. And what makes me think of is by necessity, we accept our sphere of influence. It's just a matter of like survival, like you said. When we
Mhm.
have the ability and the freedom to choose, we tend to branch out. And what happened in Michigan is the sphere of influence, it was like we're close, but we're not actually like co-living or helping each other. So in seeking that out, it was almost like I wanted to create enough space to then be able to decide with who was coming in, whether this was a resonant relationship that I wanted to have
Mm.
or not. Because when we're filled with, we fill our lives with all sorts of things, but we definitely fill who we know, who we talk to, who we reach out to, who we check up on, who we say happy birthday to. And a lot of this is not consciously chosen. And it's a very difficult decision to say, I'm going to create space in my life, whether it's family, friends, and move away so that I can choose it. And it's like,
Mm.
you are someone that you're in my sphere of influence because of a conscious decision that I made. You help expand me and grow me, and you often challenge me in ways that I think, I don't know how to put it in quotes, like make me a better human because I'm not as gentle or nurturing or patient or kind when I don't get to speak with you.
Ooh, say that again. I did not expect you'll say that. I was like, what do you mean? Let's dive into it. That was my like I was waiting for it to finish. Damn, that's big. Well, let me ask you this then. Of course, I don't know how to take it, so I'll just digress real fast. But let me ask you this, which I'm really curious about it. Do you think because we tried the survival and being physically together back in the day, talking about the generations, the community were like almost like we need to figure out how to run away from the lions and the bombs and the, like kind of hold each other to survive. But now we're not running away from the lions in the countries where we live, right? Where still we can move around freely without worried will we be wiped out tomorrow. Ugh, giving me chills immediately. But what's interesting is that now you have a choice. You moved yourself in a space where your body is going to naturally be regulated, which is Hawaii. So you're in the midst of nature. You're giving the nurturing to your body already. You don't feel freaked out left and right. Now it's up to you to step up to your awareness and choose your tribe. And your tribe somehow ends up being global.
Hmm.
All over the world. So what used to be physical safety now it's psychological safety.
Right.
And to me, it's like, holy moly, we're actually moving because all my friends are all over the world. I
Hmm.
don't sit and have sip of coffee physically in the bar in a restaurant here in LA.
Hmm.
And I'm like, if I can do this, why do I have to live in LA? In LA is very social. It's like I don't really go out all the time and eat, right? So I don't have the group of tribe that I hang out physically with, but rather I have a group of tribe that psychologically I'm connected all over the world. And to me, that's such a big deal because there's now a deeper need, which is we already evolved into we need to make each other feel safe, to
Hmm.
feel and to explore what else is in our psyche so we can actually evolve.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. And I see more and more people choosing to become, or at least allow a sense or a piece of nomadic living, because what you're saying is like we are realizing that we don't like, oh, I thought I wanted to move to Austin to have the social life or have this experience or go to this gym. And then it's like, after a year or two, things change, people move on, you have different relationships, you end up talking with more people online than offline. And
Hmm.
it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to be in this city. Let me find a new one. And it's like a bit of a search of finding what resonates. But I think more than ever, we have the ability to be somewhat nomadic and choose where we get to live. And that's, ultimately
Beautiful.
we're moving from being victims of our country leaders and the laws and the wars that may or may not happen. And ultimately, we do have more freedom now than we've ever had. And that's a good thing.
We evolved.
Yeah.
It's April 2025. The world has never been this crazy, it seems like. And here we
Mhm.
are saying we evolved. What? But we really did, if you really think about it. So I agree. It's like you get the freedom to choose, at some level and to explore at some level.
Do
We
you
have, mm,
with your work, your 9 to 5, you still get like all of the inputs of the world is crazy? Is that where that's coming from mostly?
you mean social media?
Or is it social media or
I mean, just Google World's News.
no,
Nothing
I will
good
not.
comes out. But that's what I'm saying. It's like sometimes I do. Just so they were, like back in the day we used
Why?
to just I'm not oblivious.
Oh,
Well,
who
somebody
cares?
nuke us. And
If you
just
get
not
nuked,
one
you're
good
dead
thing that
anyway.
comes
Just
up.
let it happen.
True, true. But I'm surrounded by people that are very much invested in it on a
Ugh.
daily basis, and they're full of fear, and the fear is driving them, right? So it's almost, that's why I give up my TV.
Hmm.
But I want to know once in a week for 1 hour, and then I get into this like vortex of getting sucked into it. Like in a magnitude that it's out of blue, and I'm like, I can't stop, and I'm aware and I can't stop, and I'm like, wow, what a tool, what a virus. And I still have a hope that we won't do that eventually because more and more of us will stop doing that exact thing. But when I'm fighting another
The
virus is
ones who
like
live.
the ones to survive, who survives will speak. But now we have another virus, which is that I am more interested in, which is the exact copy and paste of trials and errors to become, to do something really in a desperation of, oh my God, I want to do something for humanity. And this happens, this is what I'm noticing in the coaching sections as well. It's like everybody has the same exact niche, same exact way. There's no creativity. And when
Mhm.
I don't have anywhere, when I can't be impressed because I've seen it already 55 times and your website and your niche and how you do it, it's like I don't really have anything to learn from. So I go back and what inspires me, right? So one or the other way, I think if I feel it, I always sense that everybody else is feeling it. It's like you don't really have anywhere else to go than to you and to figure out your own uniqueness, your own unique expression, your lessons, your dharma, your destiny, your karma, your lessons, your karma, and all these different things all over and over again and see what comes out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I experienced this within like the first week of me being like, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna have a landing page, all this stuff. And I got so annoyed with on X. X is where I chose to participate. I'm like, all this shit sounds the same. It's so frustrating. Like, why? And it almost seems like deliberate in how stupid it is. Just
Mm,
like you said, copy and paste. And then someone recommended me this book, and I read it,
mm.
and it's so good. It's just enough to like loosen the, like shake off the heebie-jeebies, because that's what it feels like. Like, where's the art? Where is the perspective that's beautiful? But I think what happens is when we start to participate in this way, with us being one of many, is we enter a field of judgment and looking for differences, but all we see is sameness, because the social media landscape and the algorithm and everything will only feed you what you're engaged in and participating in. So it looks like saturation.
Hmm.
And it's an illusion, because saturation, like our ability to understand what it means to have billions of people living on this earth, is very, very low. Like what that actually means and what that would look like. And so when we have 100 social media profiles that all kind of sound the same, we're like, this is bullshit. I'm out of here. I don't want to do this. And we're
Mm.
like, if we really think about it, we're like, this is 100 out of how many? Millions and millions and millions? Okay. Maybe I'm just getting fed like a very narrow end of funnel system. And then when I looked at it that way, and then with reading this book, yeah, I relaxed. And I also understand part of that part of that feeling is a desire for yourself to want to stand out and be different. Like like you're unique, your angle is gold, you have something to say. But why is everyone kind of like, why does it seem like everyone's faking it
It's
and
just-
they're so close to what I'm doing?
Why is everybody doing the exact same thing at the same time? Damn it, damn it, damn it.
Yeah.
And here's where I would challenge you. And this is where I'm like, I really, truly think, feel, what if the art is dead of the art of what we know is dead in life in general? And what if the new art is exactly this, Eric, what you and I are doing, meaning you're attuning to intentional time that it's of such quality that you don't even know what's going to turn out to be, but yet you dedicate, you commit to it, you come with the wholeness and fullness of you. You speak. We don't even follow this any longer, but yet we have a base that we
Say
build
that.
off of. And then we fine tune ourselves to this space. What if the art is just this exchange now that it's of such texture and quality, much deeper than what we know? You and I never once knew what will turn out to be. Even today,
Yeah.
we said we have nothing to say. I think this was one of the best, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree? So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
what if the art is the capacity to really fine tune, attune to someone else's capacity and exchange on that level? What if we're
Mm,
actually art by just being this?
yeah. I actually love that. And what I find is I do enjoy writing when I'm kind of
Oops.
when I wake up with like an idea or I have a dream or even if I have nothing, I'll just start writing and kind of things come up. I do enjoy that process. What I find really fun now is I haven't lost this perspective that maybe the art is dead. So when I go on X and like my goal is to like reply to 20 people, participate, um, when I'm doing it, I'm like really keeping that front of mind. And I'm saying, I don't want to just reply to that. And initially I did because I'm like, I need to get momentum and know how this feels to just put myself out there and not be afraid. But now I'm like, oh, I'm gonna challenge this in a way that they might not enjoy necessarily, or I might not get. Instead of saying like, how do I say everything to get more followers and get more likes and get more responses? Instead, I'm saying what feels true. And that's hard because we're tempted every single time to then make that trade again. The trade
Mm.
is you don't have to speak from your heart because you're going to alienate people. Not everyone's going to
Mm.
like your perspective. But it's like, okay, how can I say this in a way where I'm building off of what you're contributing, but I'm also showing where I'm at? And that's what happens in this conversation. It happens so fluidly that we don't even think about it. Um, but yeah, that's a beautiful thing that you brought to my awareness.
Okay, so let me ask you this. When you express, let's say, when you engage on X, and this is what I found, and I tested myself with IG as well in the past, it's like, uh, do you attach to your expressions? Or let me rephrase, do you identify with your expressions through words? If you were to comment on someone's post and have your point of view, is your point of view identification of who Eric is?
Not quite understanding what you mean
So
just yet.
you read someone's post and you have something to say,
Hmm.
and you say that and you reply, and this is where people engage through the comments a lot, and this is where I think the base of the hatred is, because your point of view is complete opposite from someone else's point of view. It can be. So
Yeah.
you can be on a complete opposition. Depends on what you're listening. So often it's the pain body that shows up on social media because you're hiding now behind the screens. No one knows who you are. No one can do anything for you. So you feel free to express so much hatred. I'm not speaking about you, but
Yeah.
almost to comment and rebel against something. But it's your own projection, of course, if we are aware and mature enough to know that everything that we speak of is very much happening inside of us, right?
Hmm.
But do you identify as yourself and with the words that you're writing to comment, either good or bad? Let me give you another example. When I would post on Instagram back in the day, last year actually, I tested, and I took entire year to post and see how creative I can be. Oh gosh, for all the creations, there was only maybe 2 or 3 posts in the beginning that I posted that I just posted because I had this desire from the heart. Everything else was, ooh, this will be liked by people. I will get that many likes. They might like the color. They might think that I'm super cool for creating this type of art and using digital things. And it's like, they will like, how many. I just had this like need to satisfy my ego. But the post that I was the most afraid of to post, which was my vulnerability, actually got the most engagement from people. And this is where I opened up
Hmm.
myself to, okay, I'm getting old. Like, I'm so confused on what I need to do. I come from war, I have trauma. And I was just like very pain, body, open, vulnerable.
Hmm.
And people seem to attach to that a lot. So, automatically, meaning it's like pain body comes to pain body. And that comes down to, if you're so good and so shiny, no one actually wants to see that you went to Egypt and, like, rode a horse on the beach and had a perfect, it's like we've seen it all. But where is the true you? almost like people really want to see the rawness, to
Yeah.
believe, because it's so pretend, it's so superficial. It became
Yeah, yeah.
so superficial that there's no realness anymore, and people are desperate to find it. And when they do, it triggers something in them, either as the opposition, or it triggers the accept, or almost like, how do you say, understanding and compassion.
Mhm.
So one or the other way it can go. And I found that that was so interesting. It's like, wow, when I speak from my heart, everything that I post out there, in the words, in the formats, people engage more, which is interesting. And I have a lot of comments. Thank you for showing. This is not a lot. The 3 comments is a lot for me, right? So it's like I'm not like having 10,000 people following me. But then I deleted
Not
everything.
yet. Yeah.
And then I deleted everything. And I actually started using this to short, to create short clips for people to feel the energy, to see our eyes engaging, to see the tonality, to hear the tonality of the voice that we're using, and see how that translates to them. Not much engagement, but in my mind, what we spoke during these calls and with other people that I speak, it comes out of heart because of this container, because of this dedication and intention that comes into it. So I don't engage with ego, unless the other person engages with ego. But it's almost never happens. So what I want to post out there purely comes out of these circles. And to me, it's like, okay, if I go back, I'm going to learn something from it. So this is now my museum of art. And it's raw as it can be. There's no superficiality in it. It's like we cry, we laugh, we are quiet, we're awkward, we're weird, we look like hell, like the sun is in the eyes, the beard is big. It's like we stink, we had a bad moments, and that's raw. And if I really am posting myself out there, this is what I want to identify with, because it's true. It's not far away from truth. That's my truth. So back to your question, when you write and engage, do you speak your truth? And is your truth coming back, like, does it lay down on your heart as something that you would enjoy reading 5 years from now?
Um, I can't imagine. I don't know if I'll like it in 5 years. Yeah, I don't know if I'll like it, but I think I'll understand the perspective. But all that to say, where I come from when I'm writing and I'm connected is, what do I need to hear right now? So it's either like advice for myself or advice for my former self. It's like speaking to a younger version of myself,
Mhm.
or it's just like an unfiltered truth. Like one post I did recently was just harsh truth. No one's coming to save you.
Mhm.
And people like that one. And then another one I did was like, here are the steps that I took to get out of X, Y, and Z. And it didn't get anything. And it's just kind of, who knows why it resonates. It's part of the learning process. But
Maybe because people don't want a free advice.
yeah, I mean, it's just there's too much already.
Yeah,
Everything,
exactly.
yeah, it's packaged. And it's
Exactly.
like, okay, what comes in the end of it? Sales call. Um, but it is
Salesman, please don't
interesting.
buy my product.
Yeah, but it is interesting. It's like the,
I
if
love it.
if pain body is what resonates,
The pleasure
then
is what sells. Always. Because everybody
well,
wants to get out of the pain body. They'll connect with you on a pain body, but sell
yeah,
them pleasure.
yeah, pains and benefits. Um,
You caught that one real fast.
I was like, huh?
Hmm.
So is it, if you're in a situation where your life is really good, you are now disincentivized to post about it or to share it or to just speak on it. and instead try to find something that's difficult, hard. You know, you ever see this post? It's like,
Mm,
I made $150,000 last year. I moved to my dream home. My relationship's better than ever, but I'm more depressed than I've ever been. Here's why. And it gets a ton of likes, and people are like, it's almost like validating, like, see, you're not doing better than me. You know, it's like if we're always coming from either jealousy, comparison, or judgment, then what's gonna happen? I just find it interesting. It's like the algorithm is gonna find the workaround of like,
yeah.
I'm gonna satisfy your need to compare, and then I'm gonna sell
Mm,
you anyway. That's what they're doing.
yeah. So why? Well, let's just talk like this. Fuck the algorithm
Yeah.
because it's manipulative anyway, and we all know, and we still do it. Holy moly!
Yeah, yeah.
And why not create the communities like that where we get to free debate? Debates are long gone. And debate in a matter of not lawyer to lawyer debates push
Hmm.
wrong to prove you wrong rather than actually exchange of life itself
Hmm.
and the current states within.
Yeah. So on X, have you heard of this thing called Spaces?
Mm-mm.
It's essentially anyone can join a space. So if like you and I create a space, then all of our followers would get like they'd see like Melissa's in a space right now and you can join. And it's just microphone, there's no visual,
Ah, like
but anyone,
Clubhouse.
yeah, anyone can speak. And I joined one the other day and it was like someone I haven't talked to and I'll admit I was nervous to join and participate because when I got on, she was rehearsing poetry. She had like it sounded like she was going through like kind of a call script. And she was just sharing from her heart. She seemed really genuine. And she's like, anyone else that wants to talk, please, please talk. And I was just like, what do I say? And I was like looking through Gene Keys. I'm like, do I pull this out? But I'm like, I have this instinct where this is where the true connections are going to be made in something like
Hmm?
that because it's so like a little bit random, a little bit chaotic, a little bit organic, but there's real conversations, there's a real voice. You can't hide behind, AI to write stuff for you. Well,
Yeah.
I hope not. Not yet, at least. Um, and it would be great to have you
Send me a link. I want to
on
join.
there. Yeah.
That would be cool. But I 100% agree too. It's like out of desperation for connection, that it's a quality type of connection, we have to innovate the way we connect. And this is where I really hope we are already evolving into really putting, you have 3 children, you have an active life. I am busy, you're busy, but no matter what, you're here. You
Mhm.
always show up and you show up exactly the way you are. No adjustments, no trying to
Thank you for
pump yourself up
noticing.
to make yourself, like different or superficial so you're liked. Like this rawness is so, so good. And I like to brag about how much we evolved for a year and a half by just being so comfortable in the space
Hmm.
and comfortably speaking and exchanging, because there's not once that we tried to change one another's opinions or stance or like, and we don't agree with a lot of things, we really don't,
Hmm.
and that's okay. And it's so calm, it almost like regulates. There's healing, yes, but it's also a regulation. Your body is learning what it feels to have the space where you get to actually express yourself genuinely and authentically. I love,
Mm.
love, love that. And this is what I'm trying to make with other people too. It's like, but not the dedication like this. I think it's hard to find the
Yeah.
exchange buddy who you feel you grew so much to trust.
Hmm.
And I think what I genuinely want to do with these type of calls is invite people. Do you gotta go, man? Oh
No,
my
no, no.
God.
There's just a
It's
cat
almost two
meowing.
hours. It's almost two
Uh,
hours, Eric.
what if we did? Yeah.
I can't
Awesome.
believe. I
What if
thought
we
this
did
would be
this
the 50
live?
minute. I'm down. Where in live?
Hmm?
Where? On what platform?
Well, YouTube works. I don't know.
Ooh, we
Eh,
can totally do it live on YouTube.
yeah, I mean, it would be so easy. It'd be no pressure too. Like,
Totally. Oh, you mean no more editing, and we didn't even edit one thing. Okay.
Yeah, I think I could still play an intro though. We could still play the intro and then we could just jump in. Something to think
I'm
about because
down.
it'd be interesting to have like, text contributions or feedback or
It will be interesting when we finish Jinkies and we move to a mysticism.
do you have a plan? I'm on board for anything. You know me.
I mean, I'd love to touch base on mysticism because I think we can go there. You and
Blavatsky?
I.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it. What do I have? I don't have it here, but I have a massive, like, I mean, we wanted to touch on hermetics too. I tried the other day. Oh my God. It's so, I mean, you read one sent, not even a page, you read one sentence, you're like, so much to
Yeah,
talk
it's
about.
dense. That'd be the
Very.
that'd be the trick.
Hermetica?
I think just the density of it would be tricky.
Can I just tell you one more thing too? Astrologically, I think the Piscean way of mysticism and understanding of mysticism is gonna get um, wanted and desired
Here we are.
astrologically in Aquarian age.
hmm Here we are. I had something that came up while we were
Mm,
talking.
mm.
I want to share with you later and maybe we can discuss, but I know that I have your full attention, so I'm tempted.
Go ahead, go ahead. I'm still here. No rush.
Um, I'm sure people won't mind. So I'm creating some products, and the intent is what can I create that I would use myself? Um, what I came up with is kind of a system that I'm calling it unblocked, but it's really about clarity and alignment. And then part of the story is talking about the why behind it. So unpacking like numbing distractions, and then now what I've moved to, which is more presence, awareness, stillness, slowness as part of like this process. And that's all well and good, but it is done a lot. And when you were talking about like the art being dead and all this, I'm like, okay, well, where else can I go or where can I take it from? Like what position? Actually, and there was another piece that we talked about that now I can't remember that I was contemplating along with it, but maybe it'll come up in
Mm.
time.
Let me give you this one. A true artist,
Is always creating.
uh, but let me give you this perspective. When you are so good in painting with your right hand and you become so good that you do it while you sleep, you're no longer artist when you know what you're doing.
Hmm. Oh,
Move to
okay.
the
So you're
left hand,
you're almost encouraging
not
the
knowing.
feeling of the unknown being a good place to be in. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if it becomes too clear, then I've lost. It's almost like I've then caged myself again.
yeah. So good.
I wasn't looking for wisdom, Elise.
It just
I
came
want
out.
practical
Sorry, man.
steps. No, it's okay.
It's like, tell me which book I need to read, and
Yeah.
then I want to know all the answers to the book. It doesn't work. We have to try it. And I love that. And I thought that was like, holy moly, if I know how to do something so well, I'm no longer actually creating anything.
Yeah.
And if deep down in my heart and soul, I really want to continue creating because you're evolving, but through creation, you evolve yourself too. It's like you can't help it. You're already wiring differently your way of thinking. You're firing different nodes in your brain. It's like it's just does its own thing, unknown,
hmm
and the force of creation. The thing that you can't that I think we can't figure out how to do is find the will for it. Meaning, how do
Right.
you grow will to do something, especially if it's hard because it's
Yeah.
unknown or if it takes an effort. Like will, the will for life in general and experiences in life is like one of those things that I'm like, how do you can't even teach it. How do you grow this?
Well, what I found is like having a system and like system gets kind of you can hate on systems. I feel like you might hate on systems. But like an example of an easy system is you wake up and you sketch. That's a
Mm-hmm.
system.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what comes out of it, but it puts you into the artist's mind and you end up creating with it, and that's a perfect system. Because otherwise, if you're
Mm.
waiting for like the perfect inspiration to then create, you either will only create when the circumstances are exact, which is never, or it'll be so infrequent that it won't mean anything and you won't have anything to show for it.
I see. So it's repetition, repetition, practice, practice, practice. But what if I wake up and I want to sketch and I cry instead and I'm so sad and depressed?
Then cry on the paper and let that be your sketch.
Nice. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. Bam. You dropped that faster than you thought of it. It sounded like
It was so obvious to me. I'm like, okay, I know what to do
do
with
it, do it, do
tears.
it.
I know what to do with blood. I know what to do with dirt.
Really interesting.
It's just ink.
My last sketch was two profile pictures.
Mm,
And actually yesterday's sketch, like two, just a profile, right? The nose, the lips, and the one eye that looks at each other. And I resketched this 3 different times just to realize we're not the same. Right? It's like, wow, no matter how much I tried to actually replicate the same exact profile, just the opposite side, every time another
can't do it.
profile shows up, can't do it. We're not the same.
Are you doing two hands at the same time? That would be a trip.
No, it's just still right hand. But it came out as like I want to replicate and look at the mirror, and I'm like, I can't. Like especially if, because I'm not using any other picture to do it for it. I'm just like free drawing, and
Hmm.
as I free draw, every single line shows up in a different angle for the lip, and it's totally different profile. And I was like, oh, we're not the same. What a conclusion! We'll never be the same. Ah, this was so liberating. Thank you so much. This was so good.
It was good. It's funny because um like not like loving it or not having like a million thoughts going in. Some part of me was like, don't worry. It's gonna be more than you can imagine. But it's like that, like you said, it's being in that unknown of like how it's gonna be. I don't know how it's gonna be. Some part of me wants to control it because I'm nervous that we're just gonna stare at each other and be awkward.
What an art. What an art piece.
Yeah.
Ooh, so good.
So cool. This will live forever. Well, as long as YouTube is a thing.
This one. So good. Anyway, 8 o'clock. This. I'll
Yeah.
let you go. Enjoy the best today. And we'll talk next time. So next week we skip and the week
Okay.
after.
Okay.
So you're free. You're free
I'll
of
invite you
me.
to I'll invite you to X. I'll be like, hey,
The extra space.
Spaces is on X.
Oh, I
If that's
have to.
against your
I'll try.
that's against your
It's not against, but it's too many to handle at the same time. It's like, holy moly, there's YouTube, there's Facebook, there's Instagram. Thank God I don't have TikTok and stuff like that, but oh well.
yeah,
Yeah, send me a link and then I'll join. It will be interesting. And I'm down for live soon, very soon.
maybe 33.
Why?
I don't know. I like the number.
Okay, deal.
All
All right, buddy.
right. Ciao.
Ciao.